Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. I'm Catherine with the Neo Cyber Institute, and today we're going to be talking about 5 types of malware to pay attention to. We'll go over spyware, rootkits, Trojan horses, worms, and fork bombs. Let's get started. We're beginning with spyware. Like many terms in cybersecurity, spyware can refer to a lot of different things. At its heart, spyware is any type of malware designed with the purpose of watching and monitoring the victim. It can have many different features, some of which include tracking web history and keylogging. The purpose of spyware, besides simply spying on the victim, is to gather information. For example, a hacker could use a keylogger to track the victim's passwords, bank accounts, and the like. They can also use the webcams and microphones to watch or listen to the victim. Spyware can be put on a computer for a whole host of reasons, ranging from the benign to the malicious. Some parents use spyware programs to track their children's browsing patterns. On the more harmful end, hackers can sell your browsing history to websites for data mining, or take your passwords and steal money or intellectual property. Something to note is that spyware is particularly effective on cell phones. On a phone, it's usually harder to tell what programs and processes are running in the background. There's also a lot of information to be found on smartphones, more so than on computers. To avoid spyware, make sure you don't download any suspicious programs or click weird links. Being smart and using common sense online is a great way to keep yourself safe, although nothing is 100% effective. Rootkits are designed to give the controller privileged access to the computer. They allow the hacker to run commands, add or delete files, or do pretty much anything else a normal user can do. Rootkits are always quiet and hard to detect, so that the hacker gets maximum time inside the victim's systems. There are a lot of different types of rootkits. They can be hidden on the hardware of the computer, the bootloader, or in the RAM. Others exist in the computer's kernel, which is like the core of the operating system. And still others are simply malicious files downloaded on purpose or by accident. Rootkits are one of the most difficult types of malware to remove from your computer. Firstly, always make sure to keep a backup of your system. Not only is it just good practice, but it ensures that if the rootkit or another malware program destroys your computer on removal, your system is safe. To actually remove a rootkit, boot up your computer in safe mode, scan for malware, and freeze the rootkit process. The last step is to use an anti-malware program to remove the rootkit. There are a lot of different types of programs to help with these steps. Sometimes, if the rootkit is located at the kernel or hardware level, you have to completely wipe the computer. In that case, make sure to back up your important files if you haven't yet. Just make sure not to accidentally back up the rootkit too. Trojan horse malware is named after the Greek myth. During the Trojan War, the Greeks supposedly entered the city of Troy by building a giant wooden horse, filling it with soldiers, and waiting for the citizens of Troy to take it inside. The malware works by the same way. The hackers hide the malware part of the program by packing it inside a shiny, helpful, attractive program. The victim downloads the entire application, including the hidden malware. Usually, the Trojan malware creates a backdoor into the victim's system, allowing the hacker to gain access. Since a Trojan is classified according to how it's delivered to the system, malware could really have any effect. Spyware, rootkits, and other types of malware can be combined with a Trojan delivery to create effective malicious programs. You could have a Trojan banker to steal financial information, a Trojan GDOS to use your computer in a distributed denial of service attack, a Trojan downloader to download other malicious files. You get the picture. Getting rid of it is pretty much the same as getting rid of other types of malware. Worms are notable because of their unusual self-replicating ability. For a worm to spread, the victim doesn't have to do anything to send it off. A worm can jump from system to system pretty much unchecked. For example, they can spread by sending mass infected emails using the victim's contacts. Worms often come accompanied by a payload, which is a piece of code intended to do damage to a computer. The payload will usually delete files, steal data, or just do other general malware things. Like Trojan horses, worms can be used in tandem with viruses, spyware, and the like. There are a lot of worm removal services, as with other types of malware. One way to detect a worm on your computer is by noticing unusual computer behavior. If your system is crashing a lot, opening programs spontaneously, or having other performance issues, there's a chance it's because of malware, be it from a worm or something else. Since worms exploit known vulnerabilities in software, one good way to prevent being infected is by patching and updating your systems. Updating things can be annoying, but getting hit by malware is worse. Our last type of malware is a little more obscure. It's called a rabbit or a wabbit. These programs are denial of service attacks. They work by consuming all a computer's memory and processing power by constantly replicating or starting processes. The goal, as in denial of service, is to stop the computer from working. They're sort of comparable to worms, but they self-replicate on one computer instead of on the network. The fork bomb is a subset of the rabbit virus, running specifically on Linux or Unix computers. It's called a fork bomb because it works by self-replicating, which in Linux is called forking. Basically, the fork bomb will create a function that calls itself, thereby opening up a new version of the function that calls itself again, and so on. On Windows, this type of forking capability isn't really available, so the rabbit malware has to create a new program instead of splitting an existing one. Nowadays, most systems are pretty safe against fork bombs by allowing the user to limit the number of processes able to be created. The basic ideas behind a rabbit or fork bomb attack, though, live on in other denial of service attacks. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any comments or suggestions for other videos, comment down below. I've included more in-depth articles about each type of malware in the description box. This is Catherine from the NeoCyber Institute. Thanks for watching.